Hi, it's me again, and it's 11:30 at night, talking to someone about my bipolar disorder, and mentioned it in my ENFP video, doing the mental illness YouTube tag. Question number 1, what is your mental illness? Now, I am bipolar. I have bipolar disorder, type 1. When were you diagnosed? Well, I was depressed since about the age of around like 4th grade. I had severe depression, I think, for the first time. College was when I really got the official label slapped on me, even though I knew in high school I was bipolar. I started getting manic phases around junior year of high school, I believe. Sophomore year, I was definitely like, it was the beginning of manic. My first manic phase ever was 6th grade. It happened once. Didn't happen again for several years. Sophomore year, I was very manic, but it was hypomania, and it wasn't to the point where it was really destructive yet. Junior year, senior year, that's when I really started getting bad manic phases. Destructive to things, relationships in my life, and my behavior was self-destructive as well. Drinking, and by drinking I don't mean like having a beer, I mean like sleeping in my vomit. Who knows about it? Everyone knows about it. I don't really keep it a secret. I'm very big on speaking out against mental illness stigma. It holds me accountable, and it's not an excuse, but it takes a weight off of my shoulders, knowing that the people who love me and care about me understand that I always try, and I'm always trying to minimize the effects that my mood swings have on people. I never lash out at people. I'm not an angry person. I'm not violent, but I know that my depression can be really hard for people to be around. My negativity can be really hard for people to be around when I'm severely depressed. I know that my mania is really hard for people to be around. I'll make the best choices. I'm a rapid cycler as well. It means basically that I have more than 3 manic phases in a year. I'm really up, down, up, down, up, down. In 4th grade and up until now, I probably maybe only ever not in a swing for maybe a few weeks at a time. And that was a really big struggle for me because I didn't really know who I was. And there were things that I knew about myself that I just, like, in my brain, like, I knew that, like, this is me. These are parts of me. That's who I am. But I couldn't prove that to anyone necessarily. I knew like, I'm a kind person. I know that I'm a kind person, but I wasn't always a good friend. And I knew that I was intelligent, but I couldn't always prove that with the choices that I made. The proof was definitely not in the pudding. I knew that I was artistic, but I was often too lazy from my depression. Not lazy, but too depressed to create. So there were all these really important facets about myself that I could, like, sense. Like, I knew that this was a part of me, that was who I was, but I was so seldom that person that I couldn't prove to anyone, and I couldn't even prove to myself, and it was very confusing because I currently, this is the longest that I've ever been not in a swing, and I'm on great medication. I'm taking Depakote, and it's working like a miracle for me, but it was very confusing for a really long time. I knew who I was when I was manic. I knew who I was when I was depressed, but I didn't know what was beneath all of that. And finally I do. My treatment recently has been really great, and so happy that now for the first time in years, and the first time as an adult, I know who I am, and I have a sense of who I am, which is just phenomenal. I never thought that would be a thing that I'd have. treatment have I had for it? Therapy. I've been on several medications. Lamictal and Effexor were horrible. I hated them. I know that Lamictal is well tolerated by a lot of people, but I was not one of those people. It made me crazy. It made me agoraphobic. I was suicidal. I didn't want to leave my house. I didn't want to sleep alone. I asked friends to come over and sleep with me or watch me until I fell asleep because I didn't feel safe with myself at all. Effexor made me lose weight. I had horrible side effects for it that lasted for like years. But anyway, so I've been on several medications and therapy. Currently, Depakote and DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy, are working miracles for me. DBT is amazing, and my medication, I'm just so surprised I found. I never thought I would find anything that worked this well, and I feel so lucky to have found it. Something that surprised you about your mental illness or recovery? Just my current shock right now that I didn't know that I could ever be this stable or feel this successful or this focused or this healthy. I thought I was it sounds bad. For the majority of my life, I always had this idea of I'm good right now. If I was never comfortable with the idea of thinking that I would ever be happy. I didn't think I would ever find happiness or be truly healthy or truly happy. I always had the idea that even if I was happy now, that at some point in the future, I would probably die by suicide. And that sounds really bad. But that was how I felt. And I don't feel that way anymore. And I also have post-traumatic growth since my dad's death. I'll link some information about it down below, and you can read about it, and I wrote an article about it, but I never thought that I would find myself or be happy enough or even know that like this feeling existed. And I am, I lose words for it because it's really difficult for me to talk about, but I really never thought that I would be able to comfortably look in my future and say, I'm not going to ever die by my own hand. I know how to cope, and I know how to be happy, and I know what feels right, and I know that I have purpose and meaning and a calling, and that I'm not going to be some tragic character or anything, that I can have happiness, I can attract goodness, and I can have all of that. And that's surprising to me. I guess that's my most surprising thing that I've learned. My most surprising epiphany is that you can be happy with a mental illness. And it takes a lot of work. I don't drink anymore, really. I'll have like a glass of wine. I don't do drugs. I get enough sleep as much as I can. I'm still in college, so it's pretty hard sometimes. I take my medication. I spend a lot of time outdoors and do exercise. I eat vegan and I eat clean. And I have the energy now to do all of those things and to really put effort into ensuring that I'm healthy and happy. And those are great things. What is one false assumption about your particular disorder you want to correct? Bipolar people do not swing off the handle. We're not happy, sad, mad, happy, sad, happy, mad. What, it's not, you're thinking of a different disorder, first of all, and that should be empathized with, first of all, that some people do go through that. that absolutely would be such a struggle, and it's not my struggle. So I don't like when people think that that is my struggle, because it's not my struggle. I have a different struggle. And the people who have that struggle, they need empathy, and they need care, and they need respect, and they need compassion for going through that. And I need those things for what I go through, which just happens to not be that. Bipolar disorder, the phases, like my manic phases last anywhere usually a week to like 3 weeks max, whereas my depression can last a month at the shortest to like 6 months at the longest. I think I've been in deep depression. And I mean, mania isn't happy, so I also don't want people to think that a manic phase means that I'm happy. I have lots of energy. I feel invincible. I don't need to sleep. I don't need to eat. I can party. I can abuse substances, but it doesn't mean that I'm happy. It's like an outer body experience, watching myself do those things, knowing that I'm lying, cheating, stealing, and ruining relationships and trust and burning bridges. Not for 1 second am I happy during any of it, but I cannot stop is the thing. And it's like there's a plug, there's a button somewhere that I can't reach, and I can't pull it, and I can't stop it. And I can try very hard and be very self-aware, and I am, and I do, but it does not always ameliorate it. It doesn't always fix it. It's not always... It's hard. It's really, really hard. Other phases last a considerable amount of time. And that's, I think, the most common misconception. I'm not a cheater in relationships because I'm bipolar. I don't get angry with people. I'm not violent because I'm bipolar. Those are all very childish assumptions, I feel like. I used to do theater, and I could be in a show, be going to school full-time, working 2 jobs, and make it to all of them and commit and do well. It wasn't healthy for me, but I could do it just because I am going through such deep and intense and consuming issues. Doesn't mean that I drop the ball on everything. I'm very good at passing. What is one false assumption about mental disorder in mental illness in general that you want to correct? That people with mental illnesses want pity. We don't want pity. Compassion, yes. Understanding, yes. Education, yes. And when someone with a mental illness asks you something, they're not doing it to hear themselves speak. I ask you not to refer to weather as bipolar. It's not because I want to hear my lips flap. Connotation means something negative. It's because that's hurtful. If someone with PTSD asks you not to say something, it's not because they want to hear themselves speak. It's because you're saying something which causes real hurt and damage to their well-being from you saying that. And we're not, it's not because we want pity, and it's not because we want to have people on eggshells. It's just that we want respect and understanding that we're neuroatypical. Illness and disorder, I feel like, even are really strong words. Sometimes it can make me very sick. But on a general basis, I'm not sick. But I am neuroatypical. To be fixed. There's not a cure. My mom has an artificial hip. She has raised 3 wonderful children and gotten through life on a limp. And, that's kind of how I look at it. Is need anyone putting up ramps for me. I just want to be respected for walking through life with my limp. I'm atypical, but I'm not sick. Yeah, I guess that's it. This video is already long enough. Thanks!